people from totally different backgrounds are taking a journey that could transform their lives forever. They are strangers coming together for 6 weekends for an intensive learning programme that will challenge them but promises significant rewards. Each of them will have to overcome the fears that have held them back all their lives or risk being written off. Coming up in Weekend 5.
From now until 6 o'clock, we're getting you ready for the assessment.
The students rise to the challenge as they prepare to adjust to life without the course.
The minute Bobby and Kathleen mentioned kind of exams, I think everybody's stomach fell to their boots, you know.
So Peter.
The pressure gets too much for Peter as he faces a job interview with a dragon.
Kitchens are really pressurised places to be.
First time in 6 weeks I've had to walking out of something, and I'm usually always participating in everything.
And they dig for treasure in Enfield.
Okay, well you got younger legs than I have. Go.
It's Friday evening and the students are 5 weeks into the course. The pressure is on as next week they will take their last trip to Moy Valley, so this weekend will centre around transferring what they have learned on the course and applying it to their daily lives.
The theme for the weekend is overcoming obstacles, and with adults returning to education, there's a lot of obstacles there. Now I believe they've all started because the obstacle that was there, they wouldn't be on this programme if the obstacle hadn't been taken away, but there possibly could be obstacles in the way after they finish this course.
Isn't it 5 o'clock start? 2 minutes left.
Okay guys, welcome back to you all. Last weekend we asked you to bring an outfit with you, and what we're going to be looking at, and we want you to think about it today, is maybe the meeting that you have to go to with your daughter, or an interview that you have to go for. That important meeting. You know, what do I do? What do I say? What questions should I ask?
We want to see the students becoming very much independent in their own learning. We've only 1 weekend left after this weekend. So it's important that they see it's not just here that they can do their learning, but they can also build on this at home.
Folks, last weekend, do you remember the computer assessment? And some of you found it tough going.
Despite a lot of nerves last weekend, the students decided to take on the assessment process. For many of them, it was the first test they would have faced since school. But supported by Bobby and Kathleen, all of them have decided to take on 2 tasks this week, writing and computers.
How do you get onto an internet site?
The minute Bobby and Kathleen mentioned kind of exams, I think everybody's stomach fell to their boots, you know. I think it's probably from years ago when you heard an exam, you kind of just went, oh God, no, you know.
Before they take on the computer assessment, Stephen O'Neill talks to the group about how far they've come to date and building their newfound confidence into their everyday lives.
Have any of you had any insights into, I suppose, what have you learned about yourselves up till now?
I did the minutes in work last week. I took the challenge of doing it myself. Like we sit like this on a Wednesday and we write down what happens all week with the kids.
Okay.
So I volunteered myself. I was confident that I could do it, which I never did, and I'm there 2.5 years.
When Anne left school at 13, her education wasn't that important to her. Now on the hunt for a job and having 8 grandchildren, things have changed.
I left school at 13. I worked. I had no interest, but now I have an interest because my kids are grown up now. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to stay here all by myself and, you know, do nothing. I just want to get out and do something to achieve something, you know, when I get me reading and writing perfect, you know, I like to get a job. Because I'd say there's a few years left of me. Fine, thanks. I'd like to have that book, please. Well, my goal was to be able to read and write perfect. I'm nearly there. Frightening night. Look at this. This book belongs to, I think I'll put your name on it, Jada Boyd. Oh. I can read now to my grandchildren, and like today I got a book and brought it home and read it to Jada. Jada loved it because when I came in then she said, Nanny Ann, read me more stories. Called The Gallant Knight. See him? Sir Charles Sprinklesock. So I'd say it'd be storytelling now all the time with her.
Mum would sit with a book and she'd read the pictures. I often seen her doing it, you know, and Corey would be here with her, and like to actually put her finger on the word and go through it with him and him reading with her, I thought that was lovely. I was really going to start crying. So I thought it was lovely because she never done that before. I'm glad for him that he would never know that she never could read.
Where do you see the teddy? Where would you say the teddy is?
Anne's dream job is to work as a carer at Craig House. Now that she feels more qualified, she goes to get an application form for the position.
I'm applying for the application that was in the Sligo Champion. I know I can do the job, and I know I would be perfect for the job, but it's me reading and writing. That's what stopped me.
If you have any relevant qualifications towards a carer's position, put them in.
She couldn't fill in the application forms or anything. Now she can. Like, she even has them and she's trying to fill them in. She feels more confident in herself. That's the main thing though, confidence, because she never had confidence.
How will this impact your families and the roles that they had beforehand? Do you think it'll impact them at all?
What I'm thinking is what's going to happen when it shows on the television, you know.
Okay.
How will we feel?
In what sense?
Because we're worrying how people will react to us. Do you know what I mean?
How people will perceive you after being on the show.
You know, because they'll say, well, I thought she could read it right, you know.
Okay.
You know, you have to, I think everybody is the same.
Right.
You all the same.
That wouldn't bother me anymore. One time it would bother me, but now I sit in people, even last week, what I know for 30 years and more, and I told them I could never read. And people, the more you tell people, it's amazing how many people say, well, I can barely read, or I can't read. It's just amazing, you know, that way.
It is.
Yeah. Like in one day I met 8 people. I was talking to 8 different people in one day.
Right.
And I was telling them that I couldn't read, that I was doing this course, and they had told me they were in the same boat.
They all recognised that in lots of ways they were thrown together, and they have the one thing that was in common with them was that they all wanted to make things better for themselves. We talked about in the very beginning how the group will form, storm, norm, and perform. And Aoife was making the point, and so was Peter, that they did a lot of storming in the beginning, an awful lot of storming in the beginning. And I think that's thinned out, as Peter said. They've made a decision that they want to get out there, they want to get back into the real world, and they want to start making a go of what they've learned here. They're opening up their minds to things, they're opening up their feelings, they've opened up their hearts, and that journey is the one, the self-discovery journey is the one that's really important.
It's the last class on Friday night, and the group is briefed by Bobby on the assessment process.
You're reading this is your reading piece, and then you're following the instructions, you're finding it on the computer. Okay, now, just to remind you, you do it independently on your own, but Kathleen and I are here. If you're having difficulty, you put your hand up.
You know, I know you're not saying there's pressure on
There isn't pressure.
but it's us that feels.
Yeah.
The
Put pressure on yourself.
Yeah, you put pressure on yourself because we want to do well.
Yeah. Stephen, are you okay? You were going to ask the question there.
I haven't lost there before we start.
Are you? What? It's step by step. I think when you get this, it'll help
It'll be
you.
fine.
Yeah.
It'll be fine.
I don't want to be the one sitting in a room and sitting here like going back to school and everyone is flying doing things and I'm not allowed to do it. Not that way. Yeah. I'd rather go home.
Good luck, everybody.
The students have to read through the instructions on the sheet and then use the computer to access the internet and navigate their way to the RTE website. Then they answer a series of written questions about the relevant programme. Up to 5 weeks ago, some of them had never used a computer before.
Last week on the assessment, I was frustrated, tensed. It's like, going to the shop for your first time, isn't it? You don't know whether you're coming or going there.
It's great now that I can do the computer and to put me to a test today, I did all that myself on the computer and even to print it out. So I passed that one.
Some people have used the computer, I haven't. And, in my opinion, it's the best thing since sliced bread the last 4 weeks. Don't get me wrong, I don't know too much about it, but believe me, I'll do my best to find out,
We've more to do tomorrow now, we've the right 5 sentences. I think that's what Stephen was saying this evening, the right 5 sentences tomorrow. So, some people are a bit anxious about doing the 5 sentences tomorrow, but I keep saying to them, it's grand, don't be worried about it, just do your best. That's all you can do. I'm not going to do it tomorrow, because it's going to be too hard for me. I don't think I'll be able for it tomorrow. Might surprise myself, that way. 5 sentences might be easy to someone else, but they're not easy to me.
The anxiety becomes too much for Stephen after the first assessment, and anticipating an even harder assessment tomorrow, he decides to leave for home.
You were saying something earlier on about the exam tomorrow. That's getting to him. And I've been ringing him. And I says to him, I says, Stephen, I'll walk there to Tala, I says, and I'll pick you up. I says, if you know, we have to walk the whole way to Dublin, I says, I'll pick you up. Because the simple reason is we've had to grow in a bond together, the youngest and the oldest. I says, I'll do it for anybody else. And he says to me, he'll ring me in 10 minutes and he'll have a chat with me. Come back for me, even if, right?
Peter tries his best to persuade Stephen to come back and give tomorrow a go for the sake of the group.
See if I really go for a drive,
And 20 minutes later, Stephen arrives. It's Saturday morning, and after much consideration, Stephen has decided to stay and take on the second assessment with the rest of the group. This time, they each have to write 5 sentences to complete the task.
So do you want to turn over then and write your 5 sentences?
What could be your first one? I got a lift to the market. Okay. So what could you say? I had a good time. Perfect.
The group uses last week's market challenge as the basis for their sentences, and they all complete the task with newfound confidence. Every one of them has managed to complete the 5 sentences.
What I've learned in 6 weeks is just incredible. Even today I thought, at some stage, imagine if I'd have gone home and by the time I got home last night, it probably would have been 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30, and I'd gone to bed, and when I got up the next morning, potter around the house and this and that. What have I done? And I'd have been mad with myself,